Chapter 1121. The children reveled in their enjoyment, playing for a while longer before eventually freeing themselves from Arissa's clothes. "Are you too stupid?" Hiding in Mommy's belly, Arissa pinched the cheeks of the two boys affectionately. Oliver and Jasper grinned. "Mommy, your belly feels warm. You also smell nice," said the latter. Oliver nodded reverently in response to Jasper's comment. Then, he hugged Arissa again and exclaimed, "I like the smell of Mommy." Arissa was amused by their antics, her eyes crinkled into a warm smile. The rest of the children also inched closer and hugged Arissa one after another, their faces lightly rubbed against her body. "Mommy, you smell so good." A sour expression crossed Benjamin's face as he observed Arissa being embraced by the children, feeling somewhat displeased by their close contact. He stretched out his hand and lifted the children away from Arissa. "Daddy, how could you do this?" Gavin glared at him angrily, protesting. Zachary also stared at Benjamin. It was apparent that he also strongly opposed Benjamin's action. Benjamin enveloped Arissa in his arms, drawing her closer into the protective embrace of his body. "How can your mommy go for a walk when you all are holding her?" With that, Benjamin wrapped his arms around Arissa and began walking with her along the path, embarking on a leisurely stroll together. The 6 children followed behind with their cheeks puffed out in exasperation. Zachary said, "He is so shameless. How could he rob Mommy from us?" Gavin echoed, "That's right. He's a shameless man. How can an adult fight for Mommy against us?" Having overheard the children's conversation, Benjamin was tongue-tied. "These two brats are siding up against me." Arissa couldn't stifle her amusement when she saw Benjamin's sullen expression. She turned around and called out to the children. The children's momentary tantrums quickly dissipated as soon as Arissa called out to them. Their smiles returned, and they joyfully came to her once again. Benjamin expressed his dissatisfaction to Arissa, complaining, "Why is it that they always smile at you, but give me a sullen face as if I owe them money?" Arissa chuckled and gazed at the handsome man beside her. "It's because you don't smile in front of them." A slight twitch appeared at the corner of Benjamin's mouth. He couldn't help but notice that when he tried to be gentle with the children, they didn't exactly welcome his gestures too. As she noticed Benjamin's lingering jealousy, Arissa couldn't help but feel a sense of secret joy deep within her heart. "Be kind to them, and they will naturally warm up to you," she whispered softly into Benjamin's ear, leaning closer to him. Benjamin let out a soft snort and proceeded to guide her on a leisurely stroll through the garden. The 6 children bounced around them, filling the air with their exuberance and creating a lively atmosphere. William emerged with a tray of delicious food. Spotting Arissa and Benjamin at the pavilion, he approached them and offered the food. "Mr. Graham, Mrs. Graham, young masters, Miss Jessie, have some finger food." William greeted them warmly, and in an instant, the children eagerly rushed over and brought some for Arissa. "Thank you, sweethearts." Arissa gratefully accepted the food and said to the children with a smile, "Why don't you get one for Daddy as well?" The children turned their gazes toward Benjamin before they handed the food they were holding over to him. "Mr. Graham, please have some too." Benjamin accepted the food from Tim's hand, and with a gentle smile, he addressed the other children, "You all go ahead and enjoy it." Gavin, Zachary, Oliver, Jasper, and Jesse looked at Benjamin and concluded that he was a little partial to Tim. Noticing that Tim had given his food away and had nothing to eat, Zachary quickly stepped forward and offered his own portion to Tim. "It's okay, Zachary, I'll take another one for myself." Tim smiled at Zachary, the latter chuckled in response. Then, he went to get another one and ate it. "Delicious," Arissa exclaimed with delight as she indulged in the sweet potato pie. "Mommy, this is so delicious." Jessie mumbled with her mouth full, her head shaking with excitement and her eyes sparkling with joy. "Miss Jessie, there are still some in the kitchen. Eat slowly," William said dotingly to the little girl, greeted the others, and then turned back to the main house. As Benjamin indulged in the pie, he was pleasantly surprised to discover that it was quite delicious. Arissa grinned when she saw that he seemed to be savoring a taste akin to that of gourmet cuisine. "Have you not had many opportunities to enjoy this before?" Chapter 1122. Benjamin raised his eyebrows, took a bite of the pie, and savored it with eager enthusiasm. I've never seen William make this before. Orissa smiled. Then you should thank me for this good food. Benjamin glanced at her smug look and snorted softly. William really likes you. Orissa's happiness was evident as her eyebrows and eyes curved with joy, and she continued to savor the delicious pie. After finishing his own portion, Benjamin leaned over and playfully took a bite from the pie in Orissa's hand. Orissa looked at him in surprise, and protested, I'm eating this. Can't you go and get another one yourself? Leave the rest for the children, Benjamin answered matter-of-factly. Orissa handed him an untouched pie from the pile she had received from the children. Benjamin glanced at the pies and furrowed his brow. Are you sure you can eat all of these? Eating too much could make her feel bloated. Orissa gave him a sideway look and teased, I already gave you one. Are you asking for more? If you eat too much of these pies, you might end up feeling bloated. Two should be enough, Benjamin advised, playfully pinching her cheek. Orissa continued eating with gusto, taking big mouthfuls of the pie. Her appetite seemed particularly voracious today. As the housekeeper also brought them freshly squeezed orange juice, the family enjoyed their food in the serene ambiance of the garden. Why didn't I see Dad? Orissa looked in the direction of the main house. Grandpa may be drinking coffee. Gavin raised his head in response to her question and continued to eat happily. After eating, they went back to the house. Darius and William were making cookies in the kitchen. Orissa brought the children into the kitchen to join the fun, while Benjamin excused himself to attend a conference call. The sight of the adorable children surrounding Darius brought a smile to his face. At Dusky Night Bar, Julian was drowning himself in liquor. He had suffered great grievances during the day and felt powerless to change his circumstances. Suddenly, a person took a seat beside Julian, casually crossing his legs and addressing him with a teasing tone, "What's the fun in drinking alone?" Julian turned his head to look at the person sitting beside him. His expression darkened slightly when he met eyes with the person. Justin leaned in, pouring himself a glass of liquor. He then raised his glass, clinking it against Julian's before lifting it to his lips for a sip. "This wine is good." Julian picked up his wine and placed it to the side. He spoke in a deep voice, "If you want a drink, pour it from your own bottle." Tisk tisk, what got you all riled up? Let me take a guess. Could it be because of Uncle Benjamin? Justin smiled mischievously. Julian's face grew even darker, and he downed the wine in his glass in one go. Then, he reached out to grab Justin's collar. Before he could strike, he was swiftly restrained by Justin's accompanying bodyguard. Justin adjusted his clothing, smoothed out any wrinkles, and casually leaned back against the chair, seemingly unfazed by the tense situation. He glanced at Julian with a mocking expression, sneering at his apparent anger. "Seems like you're quite worked up." Julian struggled. He felt bullied by Benjamin and was now laughed at by Justin, leaving him feeling utterly pathetic. Justin's lips curled into a smirk as he waved his hand, signaling his bodyguard to release Julian. Even after regaining his freedom, Julian refrained from fighting Justin, knowing that it would be a futile attempt. With a gloomy face, he straightened his clothes and sat aside to continue drinking. "Don't you want to get back to Benjamin?" Justin looked at Julian with a smile. Undeterred by Julian's cold shoulder, Justin persisted. "Benjamin is the one in power now, and everyone is a nobody to him. He's even been cruel to his own brother. Don't you feel any hatred toward him?" Justin tapped his fingers on his thigh. "If you want to take him down, I can lend you a hand." Julian sneered. His eyes darkened as he said, "Are you sure you can beat him?" He knew what Justin was up to. Over the years, Justin had fought against Benjamin numerous times but had never emerged victorious even once. Justin's expression shifted. He then composed himself, saying, "Everyone has their weaknesses, and Benjamin is no exception. In fact, he now has more than one weakness." Julian's eyes flickered when he heard this. Chapter 1123. After finishing the conference call, Benjamin noticed that it was already late. He walked over to Orissa and said, "It's already past 10 o'clock. You should go get some rest now." Orissa looked up at him while she was playing with the kids. "Let me play with them a bit longer." After taking a quick look at the kids, Benjamin said to Darius, "Dad, it's getting late. You should get some rest. Time to take a shower and go to bed, guys. You have school tomorrow," he reminded the kids. After that, he bent down and picked up Arissa. Arissa was embarrassed, but there was nothing she could do about being held by him. She buried her head in his chest, and after a while, she lifted her head and said to the kids, "Sweethearts, it's time to take a bath. We'll play again tomorrow. Good night, Dad." "Good night," Darius smiled and replied, watching the couple as they went upstairs. Benjamin carried her up calmly, while Arissa felt a bit embarrassed and pinched his arm once they reached the top floor. Benjamin winced and frowned in pain, looking down at her with a warning look flashing in his eyes. "Don't move around," he warned her in a deep voice. Arissa's mouth twitched, and she refuted innocently, "I didn't." Benjamin pinched her on the butt. His expression turned devilish as he gazed deeply at her. Arissa's face immediately turned red. "You pervert." Benjamin lifted his eyebrow, looking even more mischievous as he pinched her again. "It feels good." Arissa stared at him in disbelief, feeling at a loss for words. Benjamin's lips curled into a gentle smile as he carried her into the bedroom. He was in quite a good mood. He placed her on the bed first before turning around to prepare the bathwater in the bathroom. After getting her pajamas ready, he finally came back and said, "The water is ready. Go take a shower." When Benjamin reached out to carry her, Arissa stretched her hands out to block him. "I'll go by myself." Benjamin gave her a glance but still bent down to carry her over. "All right, you can leave now." Once in the bathroom, Arissa hurriedly chased him out. Benjamin pinched her cheek and asked, "Do you want me to help you wash up?" "No." Arissa's face turned even redder. Despite being married for so long, hearing those words still made her blush. Her response teased Benjamin further, and he lifted her chin to kiss her deeply. Benjamin only stopped and let her go when she was almost out of breath. "I'll leave you alone. Hurry up and wash up." Benjamin gave her a light tap on the cheek before turning around and exiting the bathroom. Arissa took a moment to compose herself and then gave herself a gentle pat on the face, hoping to cool down the flush on her cheeks. After a while, she started taking off her clothes to shower. Benjamin walked over to the kids' room and saw William inside, so he instructed the latter, "William, you can go to my dad's room. There's no need to watch over here." William looked at him and nodded. "Yes, Mr. Graham." Benjamin walked up to the bathroom door, opened it, and peeked inside. The kids who were taking a shower inside all turned their heads to look when they heard the noise. When they saw Benjamin, they immediately covered their bodies. The corners of Benjamin's mouth twitched as he urged them in a low voice, "Hurry up and finish washing." After closing the door for them, Benjamin waited in the room for the kids to come out. They showered quickly and after a few minutes, they all came out. "Come over here, I will help you put on your clothes," Benjamin called out to the kids as he took their clothes. "Why are you not with mommy?" Zachary stared at Benjamin and refused to let the latter dress him. He took his clothes and swiftly dressed himself. "Your mommy is still taking a shower. She won't be out so soon." Benjamin pulled Jessie over and dressed her. Gavin and the rest all dressed themselves. Their movements were not as swift as Zachary's, but they still managed to dress themselves on their own. "What if mommy needs help and you're not around?" Gavin reprimanded Benjamin. Benjamin raised an eyebrow in response. Chapter 1124. "You all go to sleep now. Once you're all asleep, I'll go back to her," Benjamin urged the kids as he tidied up Jess's clothes. After that, he picked her up and placed her on the bed. "Thank you, Mr. Graham," Jessie thanked him softly. Benjamin ruffled her hair and then glanced at the other kids. "Get into bed quickly." Despite their desire to go find Arissa, they were subdued by Benjamin's domineering gaze and obediently climbed into bed. After Benjamin covered them with the blanket, the kids slept side by side and gazed at him with their big, adorable eyes. "Sleep now." Benjamin sat on the edge of the bed, using a gentle tone to lull them to sleep. "Good night, Daddy," Gavin said to him. Seeing him saying good night to Benjamin, Tim, Zachary, Oliver, Jasper, and Jessie also said good night to him one after another. Benjamin lightly patted the kids through their blankets with his palms. As they wished for him to go back early and be with Orissa, they obediently closed their eyes and went to sleep. After waiting for a while and seeing that the kids had all fallen asleep, Benjamin went back to the master bedroom. Orissa had just finished taking a shower, and when she saw him come in from outside, she asked, "Where did you go?" "Go take a shower now." "I went to check on the kids," Benjamin told her before going to get his pajamas to take a shower. Orissa turned around and went to the kids' room to check on them only after he went to take a shower. She smiled when she saw that the kids were all asleep. She then tucked them in and stood by their beds for a while before leaving. She hadn't expected Benjamin to finish his shower so quickly. As his gaze fell upon her, Orissa felt a sudden sense of unease. "I'll go check on the kids." Benjamin merely chuckled softly. "Why are you nervous?" Orissa snorted and shot him a sidelong glance. She felt annoyed by his teasing. "I'm not nervous." She crawled onto the bed and settled in, then she noticed that Benjamin had taken a seat on the couch. "Aren't you going to sleep?" Benjamin looked back at her and replied, "You go ahead and rest. I have to look at some documents." Orissa smirked. She realized Benjamin was always so busy that he forgot to take a break. "It's already past 11. You should get some rest." As she watched Benjamin, Orissa felt concerned about how he worked late every night. She knew that if he continued like this, he would eventually have health problems. After taking a look at her, Benjamin put down his tablet and made his way over to her. He got into bed and wrapped his long arm around her, adjusting the blanket over her. "Is it because I am not holding you that you couldn't fall asleep?" he asked softly as his gaze fixed on her. Orissa was at a loss for words and blushed. She gave him a disdainful glare. "You're talking nonsense. That's not true." "Is that so?" Benjamin leaned closer. As she watched the man lean in closer, Orissa instinctively shrank back as she thought he was going to kiss her. She hastily covered her mouth with her hand. Benjamin's eyes sparkled with amusement as he teased her. "Why are you covering your mouth? Do you think I'm going to kiss you?" With a flash of embarrassment on her face, Orissa attempted to push him away but failed to do so. "You're crazy." Benjamin could not help feeling amused. He pinched her face and planted a soft kiss on her forehead. "Just go to sleep." He continued scrolling through his phone, but Orissa couldn't tell what he was looking at. Orissa stared at him for a while. Knowing that he was keeping her company so she could sleep, she felt a sense of warmth radiating through her chest. "Can't you sleep earlier?" she asked Benjamin. Benjamin's eyes gleamed as he met her concerned gaze. His lips curved into a slight smile. "It's not time yet, so I can't sleep." Nevertheless, his biological clock was not easy to adjust. His lips were close to her ear as he whispered in a seductive tone, "How about we do something else?" Orissa's face turned crimson as a surge of heat rushed through her. "Don't joke around." She poked Benjamin hard in his waist. Benjamin chuckled lightly, and his mellow and pleasant laughter filled the air around them. "You can't sleep, right? Maybe we should try something else to tire ourselves out." His Adam's apple rolled as he spoke. His voice sounded alluring. He hadn't made love with her in a long time. When Orissa met his intense gaze, she quickly looked away. Chapter 1125. Sleep. Orissa turned her head away and closed her eyes. Gazing at her deeply, Benjamin let out a soft chuckle. He didn't tease her anymore, or he would have trouble holding himself back. Surprisingly, Orissa had really fallen asleep. However, she woke up with a full bladder soon after. Just as she rolled over to get up, Benjamin held her down. "Where are you going?" Seeing that he was still awake, she mumbled, "The bathroom." Benjamin carried her down from the bed. Staring at him, Orissa didn't say anything more as she was sleepy. Orissa was back in bed after peeing, but she couldn't fall asleep. "What's wrong?" Lowering his eyes, Benjamin felt a little annoyed as he watched her move around in the bed. "I'm feeling a little hungry." Orissa looked at him innocently. She only had oatmeal porridge and some finger food and fruits earlier, so her stomach was growling. Benjamin raised his brows. He had expected it. "What do you want to eat?" he asked, stroking her head. Orissa pondered over it for a while. "It's the dead of night now, so I'll just have something simple instead." Pasta. Looking at him, she wanted to sit up. However, Benjamin stopped her and covered her with the blanket. Sleep first. I'll go and cook for you. Once I'm done, I'll wake you up. Lying in bed, Orissa watched him slip on the slippers and head outside. Despite wanting to eat something, she was too lazy to move. Well, she was naturally happy that someone was going to cook for her. Benjamin went downstairs and opened the refrigerator. Then he took out broccoli and some smoked salmon. After washing the ingredients in the basin, he cut the broccoli into small pieces on the chopping board. Then he boiled the water to start cooking. Benjamin felt that there was too little pasta, so he went to the fridge again and took more food, 2 chicken wings and steak. When he was done putting them into the oven, the water boiled. He waited for the water to boil again after putting in the ingredients. Then he added in the pasta. While Benjamin was enhancing the flavor, William came in and was surprised to see him cooking the pasta. Mr. Graham, why didn't you tell me that you're hungry? Benjamin turned around and spared him a glance. It's not me, but Orissa. I'm cooking pasta for her. Why aren't you sleeping yet? William smiled. I was planning to, but I heard some noise from the kitchen, so I came over to check it out. Go and get some rest. I'll clean up the kitchen later, Benjamin said. Sizing Benjamin up, William felt that Benjamin had gotten more humane. He's even cooking for Mrs. Graham. Mr. Graham, Mrs. Graham is pregnant. She can't eat anything too salty or too fishy. Don't overdo the seasoning, and keep the amount of oil moderate too. Okay, Benjamin nodded. He had a taste of the pasta and thought it was all right, so he took it out. William stayed there for a while. It wasn't until he felt that there was nothing much he could do that he turned around and left. Benjamin poured the sauce over the pasta and cleaned the sides of the plate. Then he took a fork and spoon. The chicken wings were done too. Putting them on the plate, he squeezed some lemon juice on top of them and added some condiments. It wasn't until he was done cleaning the kitchen that he brought the food upstairs. The aromatic smell seemed to have wafted to Orissa's nose. She took a few deep breaths. What did Benjamin cook? It smells great. Soon, Benjamin entered the room with a tray of food. She sat up at once and watched him walking over. What did you cook? I got a whiff of it just now. It smells so good. Chapter 1126. Benjamin smiled. Do you want to eat on the bed or at the coffee table? Orissa looked at him and pointed to the couch. At the coffee table, with the tray in his hands, Benjamin walked over in that direction. Orissa got up from the bed, wore her slippers, and followed him. Benjamin put down the tray and placed the food on the coffee table. When he saw Orissa had no jacket on, he went over to get one and draped it on her. Orissa glanced at him for a moment before flitting her eyes to the appetizing food, tantalizing pasta, chicken wings, and steak. She almost drooled. It smells amazing. She leaned forward and sucked in a deep breath. Smiling faintly, Benjamin sat down next to her. Hurry up and eat. Orissa nodded. She dropped her butt and tasted the sauce of the pasta. She narrowed her eyes slightly, feeling extremely wonderful. How is it? He asked softly. Delicious. It's a bit sour. Orissa crinkled her eyes into a smile and began eating the pasta. After that, she tried the steak, which was done perfectly. When she turned around, she saw Benjamin staring at her. Do you want some? He shook his head. You go ahead. While enjoying the pasta, Orissa saw the mouth-watering chicken wings on her plate. She put down her fork and grabbed one to eat. She was surprised. This man is quite good at cooking. Have this. She offered him the other piece of the chicken wing. Benjamin cast a glance at her. You eat it. Take it. Orissa gave it to him again, a little assertive this time. Quick. Arching his brows, Benjamin took it over and began to eat it. Orissa smiled and watched him eat the chicken wing unhurriedly. How did you make this? Its taste is so special. What do you mean by that? Is it delicious or not? Benjamin flicked a glance at her. Chuckling, she continued enjoying the food. It's delicious. I just squeezed some lemon juice on top. When Benjamin saw the corners of her lips were a little greasy, he reached out to wipe them for her. Do you think it's greasy? Orissa shook her head with her eyes lit up. It's not oily or greasy at all. Then she used the fork and took another bite of the steak. This is just amazing. After having a few bites, she felt the steak was a little heavy for her palate, so she pushed it in front of Benjamin. You can have this. I don't want it. The moment she finished the chicken wing, she ate the pasta again. When Benjamin was done eating the chicken wing, he continued with the steak. You're really not eating. No, the steak is a little greasy, Orissa said with slight dislike in her voice. Benjamin had no choice but to eat it. Having eaten to her heart's content, Orissa leaned against the couch and rubbed her stomach, feeling contented. I'm feeling good. Looking at how lazy she was, Benjamin asked faintly, are you full? Yep, I even feel a little bloated now. Orissa grinned. The food he made was so good that she finished them all. Benjamin smiled. He cleaned the table and went downstairs with the dirty plates and cutleries. Orissa sat on the couch and waited for him. As time ticked away, she felt a little sleepy. However, she didn't want to move, so she stayed on the couch. She wondered if she had become too lazy recently because of Benjamin. When Benjamin came up and saw her still sitting on the couch, he shut the door and went to her. Shall we call it a night? Narrowing her eyes, she replied lazily, yay. Scooping her up from the floor, Benjamin walked over to the bed and gently put her down. Seeing that he was about to leave after tucking her in, she subconsciously grabbed the hem of his shirt. Aren't you sleeping? Let me get changed first. I'll come over in a while. His clothes reeked of cooking smell and he didn't like it. Only then did Orissa loosen her grip on him. Chapter 1127. Smiling, Benjamin said gently, be good and sleep first. The moment Orissa met his deep gaze, she blushed inexplicably. It seemed as if she couldn't sleep without him by her side. She pulled the blanket and covered it over her head. After changing his clothes and returning to the room, a hint of joy flashed across his eyes when Benjamin saw Orissa hiding under the blanket. He lifted a corner of the blanket and went under it, lying right next to her. Orissa was rendered speechless. As soon as she moved her head away, Benjamin turned it back to make her look into his deep gaze. Her eyes darted around. What are you doing? Benjamin lifted the corners of his thin lips and smirked. What do you think? He lowered his voice deliberately. Feeling her cheeks flush, Orissa immediately poked her head out of the blanket for a fresh breath of air. Under the blanket, all she could smell was his breath. It was hard for her to stay calm. Benjamin also pulled the cover down, his eyes glinting with seductive charm. Orissa shot daggers at him and turned around to sleep. Looking at her reddened ears, Benjamin couldn't help moving closer to her and pulling her into his embrace. Orissa turned her head slightly and spared him a glance. Meanwhile, Benjamin reached out to turn off the light. Good night. He kissed the back of her ear and couldn't stop himself from pecking her cheek. Orissa shrank her neck and stretched out her arm to push him away. Stop fooling around. You just go ahead and sleep. Benjamin chuckled. He continued with what he was doing. Orissa was at a loss for words. How can I fall asleep with him behaving like this? Benjamin, she called sternly. Only then did Benjamin stop and hug her waist. He rested his chin on her shoulder and exhaled in her neck from time to time, sending a wave of tingling sensation throughout her body. Orissa's heart thumped hard against her chest. Seeing that he didn't do anything out of line, she gradually calmed herself down. Soon, she fell asleep. Hearing her calm breathing, Benjamin kissed her cheek and slept with her in his arms. The next day, after having breakfast with Darius in the old manor, they sent their kids to school and went to the Graham residence. Go to the office. You don't have to stay at home to take care of me, Orissa said as soon as she lay on the bed. Benjamin stroked her nose. I'd better stay here and keep you company during this period. Otherwise, the kids are going to blame me for not taking good care of you. Well, they won't know anything if I don't tell them. Orissa laughed. The main point was that if he were to stay at home, he would keep a close watch on her. She couldn't even stroll around the garden. You don't have a say in this. I can work from home. Covering her body with the blanket, he said, have a rest. I'm going to attend a meeting in the study. If there's anything, get Edwin or give me a call. Okay. Orissa nodded, not intending to persuade him anymore. Benjamin stayed with her for a while before going out. Lying in bed, Orissa thought she couldn't fall asleep. However, to her surprise, she fell asleep soon after. Benjamin went to the study for a meeting and told Edwin to look after Orissa. After having the meeting for 10 minutes, he stopped it halfway and personally went to the bedroom to check on Orissa. Seeing that she was sleeping, he let out a sigh of relief. When Orissa woke up, she felt very energetic. It was around 10 o'clock, and Benjamin wasn't in the room. She got out of bed and washed her face. Then she changed her clothes and went downstairs. "You're up, Mrs. Graham. Are you hungry? Let me prepare some food for you." Edwin immediately hurried over when he saw Orissa. "It's okay, Edwin. Where is Benjamin?" Orissa asked, noticing that he wasn't around. "Mr. Graham is in the study. I think he's still having the meeting," Edwin replied. Orissa nodded and walked over to the living room. "You can continue with your work, Edwin. I'll sit for a while." "All right." Edwin went to the kitchen to get her something to drink. It didn't take long for him to return to her. "Mrs. Graham, have some tea and cookies first. There's still some time before lunch." "Thanks, Edwin," Orissa said joyfully. Chapter 1128. Orissa sat in the living room, drinking a cup of coffee. It was a little cozy. After that, she went to the study. Opening the door quietly, she cast a glance inside. The meeting was still going on. Benjamin had his eyes fixed on the camera and didn't notice her. Orissa stood by the door for a while. Then she walked over to him. Before she could reach him, he lifted his head and met her eyes. Feeling guilty, she gave him a sheepish smile. Benjamin's gaze was gentle. "When did you wake up?" Orissa flitted her eyes from him to the camera. "It has been a while. You're still having a meeting?" "Yep." Benjamin nodded. With a smile, Orissa put some cookies in front of him. "Have some. I'll go out now." "All right. Wear more clothes. Don't catch a cold." While Benjamin was watching her leave, everyone else in the meeting was shocked to see such a gentle side of him. Orissa didn't disturb him anymore and walked out of the study. A while later, Benjamin was done with his meeting. When he didn't see Orissa in the living room, he looked for her in the kitchen. However, she wasn't there either. He thought she was still upstairs, so he trotted up in a hurry. She was still nowhere to be found. Benjamin called her, but her phone was in the bedroom. Raising his brows, he hung up the phone and left. "Her phone is here, so she is still at home." Benjamin went to the entrance directly and asked the bodyguard, "Have you seen Mrs. Graham?" "Mr. Graham, Mrs. Graham is in the garden over there," the bodyguard said and pointed the location to him. As Benjamin walked over in that direction, he caught sight of Orissa relaxing on the long bench in the garden from afar. With her chin raised slightly, she closed her eyes and enjoyed the moment. Lifting the corners of her lips, he tiptoed to her. Orissa felt a shade fall onto her lids. Thinking that it was the cloud, she didn't open her eyes. The next second, she sensed a soft sensation on her lips. She sprung open her eyes in shock, and a familiar face of a man hove into her sight. Benjamin curled his lips and only let her go when he was done kissing her. "Your meeting has ended." She looked up at him with sparkling eyes. Sitting next to her, Benjamin reached out to hug her and kissed her cheek. "Yes, I thought you went out." Orissa laughed as she stared at his handsome side profile. "You would have known way earlier if I went out." Benjamin stroked her nose. "So you really want to go out?" Orissa cast him a glance and looked away. "I've been staying in the hospital for a long time. Of course, I would like to have a look around. Now that you're back home, are you still bored?" Benjamin looked down at her. Shaking her head, Orissa smiled sheepishly. "Not really." Benjamin held her in his arms. "Is it hot?" "It's fine." Orissa was sitting under the shade of a tree, so she didn't feel hot. It was just that she wanted to bask in the sun after staying in the air-conditioned room for a long time. Looking at the beautiful weather and being in the wind, Benjamin felt particularly good too. "How about we have our lunch here?" he asked. Surprised, Orissa pointed at the pavilion. "Here." Benjamin nodded. "The air is fresher outside. What do you think?" Orissa smiled. "Sure. I'll let Edwin know." Benjamin took his phone and gave the necessary order. Walking hand in hand, the couple strolled around their garden. There was an indescribable harmony in the atmosphere between them. Benjamin, what fruit is that? I think it's ripe. Glancing at them, he said, I think they are coffee berries. Orissa turned her head to him. Is it edible? Yep. Benjamin brought her over there and plucked a small one for her. It looked like a cherry. It's sweet, she said with a smile. Chapter 1129. Feeling curious, Orissa ate one after another. All right, don't eat too much, or you'll have a hard time falling asleep, Benjamin said. Looking at him, Orissa had another piece and offered him one. It's quite good. Here, have a try. Gazing at her deeply, Benjamin deliberately brushed his tongue against her fingertips as he lowered his head to eat the coffee berry. Orissa retracted her hand in an instant and glared at him. Her cheeks turned rosy. Benjamin raised the corners of his lips and shot her a devilish grin. It was as if he were about to devour her. With a snort, she turned around and walked away. Shaking his head, Benjamin smiled and followed behind her. What's wrong? He's just asking the obvious. Orissa rolled her eyes and sat on the bench in the pavilion. The next second, she was lifted off the ground. Benjamin sat in her place and put her on his lap. What are you doing? Orissa looked at him in shock. The stone bench is cold, he said in a deep voice. When Orissa heard that, her heart skipped a beat. She had wanted to scold him, thinking that he was going to do something nonsensical. However, it turned out that he was caring for her. Benjamin raised her chin and lowered his voice on purpose. What did you think I was going to do? He sounded extremely flirtatious. Orissa glared at him and reproached, what else? Laughing, Benjamin pinched her cheek dotingly. Then do you allow me to do it? He teased. Orissa felt her ears burn and pretended she didn't understand what he meant by that. Just then, Edwin and the housekeepers walked to them with the dishes. Orissa gently bumped Benjamin and said, put me down. Benjamin knew she was easy to get shy. However, they were at home, so there was nothing to worry about. He continued to hold her in his arms. Mr. Graham, Mrs. Graham, Edwin greeted. Orissa felt embarrassed. Instead of looking at Edwin, she nodded in response. The housekeepers dared not flit their eyes around. They listened to Edwin's instructions and stepped away after putting down the food. Mr. Graham, lunch is ready. Please enjoy it with Mrs. Graham. If there's anything you need, just let us know, Edwin said and moved away like the rest. Okay. Benjamin held Orissa with one hand and stirred the soup with his other. He scooped a spoonful and blew it to cool it down. Here, moving her eyes from the soup in front of her mouth to the man who was enjoying the moment, she lowered her head and drank it a little. Let me do it myself. Benjamin acted like he didn't hear and directly took the bowl over to feed her. Fearing that the soup would spill, Orissa dared not move around and let him continue feeding her. She thought he would let her go after she finished the soup. Little did she expect him to take the fork and feed her the rest of the food. Thank God no one else was around but them. Benjamin, I'll sit at the side and feed myself. How are you going to eat like this? She said. Sparing her a glance, Benjamin took a piece of the food and put it in his mouth. Why not? Orissa was at a loss for words. She was going to be spoiled like a kid. Let me sit aside. It's going to look bad if anyone sees this. Eating in his arms was a weird act. On top of that, it looked rather odd as she couldn't stop herself from staring at him. There's no one else. Benjamin held her waist domineeringly and threatened, or do you want to eat in the house? Orissa pursed her lips. The sun outside was bright, and the air was fresh. It was different from eating inside the house. Benjamin fed her every time after having a bite of his own. Orissa didn't dare defy him anymore for fear that she would be carried back into the house. They had their lunch in the garden. No one disturbed them. It was a sweet and lovely moment. After having their meal, they strolled in the garden for 20 minutes. Chapter 1130. When Benjamin saw Orissa yawning, he fixed his gaze on her and asked gently, sleepy? Orissa looked at him for a moment before moving her eyes away. No. Benjamin smiled and raised his hand to pinch her cheek. Then why did you yawn? Orissa flushed slightly. Did I? Her blur expression looked so cute that Benjamin couldn't help pinching her cheek again. Rubbing her face, Orissa asked in disbelief, why did you pinch me? Can't I? Benjamin raised his brows and grinned devilishly. Rolling her eyes, Orissa snorted. You will still do it even if I don't let you. He chuckled and moved closer to her to blow into her face. She was rendered speechless. See, it doesn't hurt anymore, right? He was solemn. Can he not flirt with me with such a serious face? Orissa turned around and walked in the direction of the house. Her ears reddened, and her heartbeats sped. Soon, Benjamin came over from behind and scooped her up. Ah! Startled, Orissa immediately wrapped her arms around his neck and beefed, You scared me. Benjamin curled his lips and held her tightly. I'm not going to let you fall. What are you afraid of? Orissa rolled her eyes. You promised me that you would tell me in advance. Benjamin was wrong. Clearing his throat, he said, I'll carry you back. She looked at him and didn't say anything more. If he had told her that he was going to carry her, she wouldn't have been startled. Seeing her pouting, he kissed her cheek. I'll tell you in advance next time. Looking at his charming face, Orissa felt better in an instant. Benjamin carried her into the house and went straight upstairs. Go and take a nap. Orissa nodded. She couldn't take her eyes off his handsome face. When Benjamin brought her to the bedroom and noticed that she was still gluing her eyes on him, he felt pleased. Do you want to use the bathroom? His deep voice was laced with a hint of joy. Orissa bobbed her head. Yes. Otherwise, he would have to carry her over there again later. She wanted to go on her own, but he was worried. While Benjamin was walking over to the bathroom with Orissa in his arms, the phone in his pocket rang. Your phone is ringing. Put me down first, she said. Benjamin didn't listen to her. He directly entered the bathroom and put her by the toilet. Okay, hurry up and pick up your call. Only after urging him did she go and use the bathroom. Benjamin took a look at his phone and stepped out of the bathroom to answer it. What's the matter? Orissa looked at him, having no idea what the other party was talking about. When she was done peeing, she put on her pants again and flushed the toilet before washing her hands. Send it to Yaleview once it's done. Benjamin's voice floated to her ears from outside. Soon, he appeared in front of the bathroom door. His phone was kept away at the same time. Orissa took the towel to wipe her hands. Company matter. Yes. He entered and bent his body to carry her out. Why don't you go to the office? It's rather inconvenient for you to work from home. I'll be fine on my own, she persuaded. Her condition at the moment was stable. Moreover, there were housekeepers around to look after her. Glancing at her, he said, Let's talk about it tomorrow. There's nothing urgent at the office, so I can just call them up for other matters. Orissa couldn't talk him into it. Lying on the bed, she asked, Do you want to take a nap too? Ethan will be coming here later. You sleep first. Benjamin tucked her in. All right. Go and get busy. You don't have to stay here with me, she said.